Hello and welcome to I Want to Talk Movies. I'm Andy.
I'm Patrick.
I'm Drew.
And I'll be back, Cleopatra.
She is back.
Yeah, I'm glad.
Back again.
Back again.
She's
and
back.
Back
By popular demand.
by popular demand and craziness. You're brave enough to come back on the show.
You're brave enough to feed me.
That is true. That is true. Anyways, so what we got today is I'm gonna ask him a question actually, and then about something related to the movie that we're gonna review, which is The Shape of Water. Yep, and then we're gonna talk about what we've been watching lately. It's a little segment of that, and then we're gonna dig into the review of Shape of Water. Yes, and I'm excited to talk about this. So for today, I want to ask you guys, of course, so we're going to review The Shape of Water. So, of course, the question that I want to ask is, what is your favorite Guillermo del Toro movie? So, who's ready?
I guess I'll go.
All right.
Yeah, I need some time to think on this one.
So, I guess I'm struggling between two, but if I had to pick, I'd pick Hellboy. Hellboy's just the movie I come back to watching most of the time. He definitely has, like, all his films are great. Like, Pan's Labyrinth was, like, amazing, but, like, Hellboy is just like one of those. It's one of the few superhero movies I could just watch over and over again. I think it's fantastic. I love the creatures and the characters, but I have to give a nod to The Orphanato or The Orphanage. That is like just a very dreary and dark story that I don't know. It's made me cry like twice, on the rewatch too. Now I'm tearing up thinking about it. So we're gonna switch to the next person.
The only 2 times you've ever cried in your life.
And the tear already comes out. You're okay.
It's
No
okay,
shame, no
Pat.
shame in crying at movies.
Yeah.
That's all I gotta say.
All right. Okay, Drew, you're up.
Oh damn. I'm gonna say Shape of Water. I absolutely love this movie. What? To who? Guillermo del Toro?
Hey, I think we're all gonna.
Ass.
I'm hoping we all kiss his ass because I definitely.
I would love to kiss that ass.
Yeah.
Wait, which one? Both?
Both. Okay, there we go. All right. Well, we
Yeah,
have
and I
Shape
guess
of Water.
we're gonna talk about it later, so I'm not gonna. I took the easy way out.
Well, there we go. All right. Okay. Cleo.
All
It's a
right.
calculated movie.
I mean, I love pretty much most, if not all, of his movies, but the one I kind of wanted to like highlight and the one that comes to mind because I just really loved it was The Devil's Backbone. It takes place in an orphanage during the Spanish Civil War. It's just really good. It's really haunting. It's really sad. It's really amazing. I love it.
I still need to watch that one.
Not too many people that I know have seen it, so just a little gem.
For sure. Well, I definitely want to check it out. Well, I guess I almost decided to go with Shape of Water as well. But I really, really loved Pan's Labyrinth. It's my pick.
There we go.
It's one of the first Guillermo del Toro movies that I saw, and so like I just like love the storytelling and the style of it. And
It's an interesting one to get introduced to Guillermo del Toro's work.
it was something refreshing and new, and I'm not sure like how old I was, but it freaked me out, and then like yet it was still beautifully done. So I really, really liked it, and then of course like I did enjoy Pacific Rim too. So that's another shout out to it. Yeah, Pacific Rim is another.
That's another one I could watch.
Yeah. Cool. So, last time we didn't do what we've been watching lately, but let's give it a try today. Let's see where it goes.
We'll do our best.
Well, Patrick, let's start with you.
Okay, well, I've been recently watching the Death Note anime, just for, because Andy and we watched the movie, and we're just like, oh my god, this is so terrible. And at that time, I only watched like, I think a third of the Death Note anime, so I'm like, okay, I gotta finish the anime now, just to give this some redemption almost.
What's the comparison?
The anime's a lot better. But I understand like how the movie's confused, but the movie kind of deviated way too far away. Like they should have made Light like just a much more. He's a very unlikable character in the movie, and he's just annoying. And it's like, well, I'd rather have like an evil, sadistic psychopath like he is in the anime, even though he may still not be likable. But the light in the movie is just makes you want to gag.
I feel like there's a difference between just like inherent unlikability and you don't like them because their actions are so out there and crazy.
Yeah, but I mean, so that's what's great about the anime,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Is you're following the
That's what I had to say.
antagonist of the story, which is doesn't happen too often.
Which
and
is why
it's
it's so popular.
yeah. And it's kind of like Game of Thrones ish. Like there's some major characters that die along the way. Like I was pretty surprised at a few of them, but I'm only 2 episodes away from finishing it, and I think it suffers like how most animes do. Like it has a great start, but like the finish it gets a little shaky. There's like things that kind of like don't add up, or they feel like they're almost being rushed. So there's like this quick explanation to like justify like what happened in the story. So
Well, it's such a cerebral. It's some bits of it. It's so cerebral, and it's very like detective. I have to think my way through all these
Yes.
millions of different things because the two opposing sides are both like super geniuses, and so like there's a point in time where that talking just gets way too monotonous, and I think they drag that part on for so long, and then I think they try to simplify things, and then it ends up not making too much sense.
I guess I that's not really exactly what I had trouble with. What I had trouble with are
Wow.
the two. There's all the women in the show are they're not portrayed very well. Like
No.
they all eat light shit. Like they literally are like, can we please eat your shit? They like ask him so nicely, and he treats them so terribly.
Oh, it's
it's
wonderful.
like there's like maybe one redeemable woman, but she's only alive for like an episode. Like like the cool women don't last very long, and like the kind of like shitty women like kind of like steal the show, and it's like this show is almost like perfect in a sense, but then it just falls to these like anime, tropes and stuff like that. So I would still recommend it though, because I still think it's quite great.
I mean, it's one of the most popular of all time, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like,
But I mean, I
Not
felt
my
the same
favorite,
with
but-
Full Metal Alchemist too. Like it had a great start, but then near the end, it's kind of like starts to crumble. I think a lot of animes are personally like that. At least the ones that I've watched.
And this has been a review of Death Note.
Yes.
See you guys next week.
Right. There you go. Cut.
Bye.
Cool. Drew, what do you got?
I watched The Punisher on Netflix this week, and I gotta say, out of all like the Marvel Netflix shows, this one's been my favorite so far because it doesn't feel like a superhero kind of deal. It just feels like a military conspiracy kind of show, and
X-Files.
not that kind of conspiracy.
Damn it.
Like smuggling heroin out of the Middle East to fund secret government programs. Like
Okay, so like Narcos, but with superpowers.
no superpowers.
Oh,
The Punisher's just an angry guy with a gun and
Yep.
a knife.
So mad.
Just, like, yeah, that's honestly
literally-
that's like he just
Half his dialogue is grunting. It seems like
that's not inaccurate. But
doesn't mean I don't love this Punisher, but he grunts a lot.
no, I think he does. I am totally blanking on the actor's name, but he does a really good job in the role.
Yeah.
And my one gripe with the show is sometimes the violence is a little overdone. And when I say that, I don't mean like the action sequences are too violent. I mean like the Punisher, Frank Castle's like coughing up blood, and that doesn't happen unless you are going to die. Like you can't just be like coughing up blood because you got stabbed in like the gut. Like if you got like shot through the lungs, that's when you're coughing up blood. Like you're not, like you're really not making it through. But like everything that happens, like after like every encounter, like someone is just bubbling up blood, and it's like that's tone it down a little bit, make it a little more realistic. But I gotta say, for a lot of it, it's pretty damn good. The actual action sequences, so I can forgive it for that. For
Sure.
going a little over the top.
I'm halfway through the series. I'm pretty.
Oh, well, let me tell you how it ends. Save you the time.
Oh,
yeah.
sweet. Right. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Cool. Well,
Yeah.
yeah, definitely Punisher on Netflix. So I definitely
Recommend. Yeah.
Cool. All right. So I guess Cleo doesn't want to share, so
It's too much shame.
too much shame.
Deep-seated shame.
For sure. Well, then I will mention some things that I've currently watched.
No crying. No,
Yeah,
nothing.
no problem.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, just
Just
glide
let that-
right
yeah.
over.
No, don't. Yeah, that's fine.
Anyways, so I think a while back, since we haven't done this segment, Patrick and I actually watched a show called My Hero Academia, and for like I watched a bit of anime, but I'm not like totally in it, as I like would like to, because it has really good storytelling. But this particular anime, like I fell in love with since like the first episode. I didn't think I was gonna like it as much as I did. So I have to throw it out there and like recommend it. So
What's the premise? Like, what are we working with here?
Amazing.
I mean,
Oh well, yeah. Next, let's move on. Yeah, that's all I need to
There you
hear.
go.
Next.
well, no, actually,
Yeah,
Cleo,
yeah.
add on to it.
Okay, well, yeah, since I'm the anime expert here,
Yes.
which is why I didn't want to tell you what I was
Certified.
doing.
That's why we want you to
With
share.
my
Yeah, come on.
eyeballs. But I felt the same way with you. Is I'm not the. Shut up! What the hell, Patrick? No, I felt the same way as you. Is I didn't think I would like it when I first heard about it, and everyone's like, "Oh my god, it's so good!" And usually those things are either true or they kind of flop, and you don't know what the hell anyone's talking about.
Amen.
Because I thought it was just going to be a very like traditional like superhero sports anime kind of deal. But then it ended up
Is superhero sports anime a typical trope?
in an anime. It is.
Okay.
They kind of in the sports animes they tend to get superpowers. Let's just say. Like there's this one basketball one where this dude like shoots this blue beam with the basketball. It doesn't make it, and then like
What?
Panthers show up. And, like yeah, that's a sports anime. So they tend to be the same thing.
So,
My Hero Academia.
Hero
what's-
Academia.
so what's it about?
So the story is about this kid who, in this universe, you are born with like a certain gene, quirk, what it's called, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so you're born with it or not, and a lot of them are born with it. And so this particular kid who like really wants to grow up to be a superhero.
Wait, so like the majority of people have like
Yeah.
Like
superpowers?
80% of
Yeah, like-
the people have superpowers.
Oh, damn.
They call them quirks.
Yeah.
A quirk is like an ability or.
So it's
power.
like X-Men but the opposite.
Yeah,
Yeah, exactly.
It's like if X-Men actually took over genetically.
Huh.
Yeah, but then like you'd end up with some stupid power like, oh, I can flip my hair. You
There's
know?
a lot of people with worthless powers.
Yeah.
I'm into that.
But
yeah,
it's
so you gotta check it out. It's very
Alright.
unique, and the take that they
Give it
did
a
was
peek?
the take with this main character was just really refreshing. I just don't want to really spoil much of it, but just
Okay.
like, yeah, it's.
I mean, you piqued my interest with the whole kind of like world of superheroes.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah, it's a really
kinda
interesting
interesting.
world and really interesting social dynamics, which really gets like that gets me going is when there's an interesting like world and like politics or some sort of social dynamic based off of this.
well, not to make a little bridge here. That Hellboy, that is one of my favorite things about Hellboy is just how established that world
Yeah.
is. So
Right. The whole underworld and all that
themes.
stuff.
Look
Yeah.
at that.
Cool. So I'm gonna just throw out two more things that I've watched recently. So it's still in theaters as of now, but recently I watched 3 billboards outside of Ebbing, Missouri. Sorry, 3 billboards outside of Ebbing, Missouri, and this was an incredible film. If you have not seen it, go check it out. Patrick actually saw it with me, so I don't know what's your view on this.
I love this movie. I think it's amazing.
So it was good.
I love a clean
Yeah.
cut.
Yeah.
It's a dark comedy. If you like Fargo or any of those, this is right up your alley.
It took me by surprise, and like I told
great.
Patrick, I'm like, okay, like you have to check this one out. I know you're
Yeah,
gonna like it.
I was skeptical, but at the same time, I did not know whatever. I didn't know what it was about, and then it's like I couldn't stop watching it. You know, you have to pee, but then you just pee in the seat. It's one of those kind of
Right.
movies.
Hey,
Yeah.
you gotta do what you gotta do.
Yeah.
So the premise is pretty heavy, but just check it out. And then we also saw Coco, and I loved Coco, and I was confused because for the first half an hour we watched a short on Frozen.
What?
Wait, what?
Yeah, so we.
Wait, are you saying half an hour as an exaggeration or?
No, I think it actually was.
Maybe exaggeration by like 8 minutes. Maybe it was like a
I think it was
22 to
actually 20 minutes.
Yeah,
and
it's
it
like-
was terrible.
And this was
Damn.
this was after
Frozen?
20 minutes of preview. So we saw the previews of what's coming out, and then we saw this Christmas special based on the Frozen and like
Oh God.
I gotta be honest, I don't get hyped for Frozen at all.
I love the movie Frozen, but this short
You're
was
joking.
terrible. I love that movie.
What?
Yes.
No.
I
Okay.
think it's great.
I saw the movie with an open heart and an open mind, and I did not like it. I thought there were a lot of plot holes, and the animation was kind of stupid, and and the singing was stupid.
Pixar? Is
and-
I think all that
Yeah.
stuff you're
No.
mentioning is great.
I didn't like it at all.
He loves the stupid animation. Are you kidding?
What are you, a 4-year-old?
I thought it was great.
I've never actually seen it, so I
Yeah.
can't.
It's
But-
not a recommendation.
Oh, man, I
Go
was
watch
just-
something better.
I was just so surprised that like we had to sit through all this and like 45 minutes later the movie started. But Coco, that movie, I like really thought it was really well done. It was it was a really beautiful movie to watch, and it was really pretty. I definitely liked the premise, and it was actually like culturally sensitive, or like in a sense. So, yeah, I recommend it. Anyways, what else? But yeah, so I think that's what we've been watching.
Yeah.
All right. So now let's get into our review of Shape of Water. Yes. Anyway, so let's. We'll start with the first impressions of
Yeah.
this movie.
Dive in.
Yeah, let's just dive in. First impression of this movie.
What are you doing?
This.
No,
Is Drew going first?
I guess so. He's
No,
making noises.
it's not about that. It was about these puns over here. But first impressions. So I'll say I went into it with not expectations, but you know, I had an idea what it was about. I had an idea of how it would play out, and it the subtleties of it are really what got it for me. I loved it, and that's just throwing it out there. My favorite Guillermo del Toro movie, and yeah, no, I said I had a really good time with it. So I'll just leave that at the first impression.
All right, Patrick.
First impressions. Creature of the Black Lagoon meets Beauty and the Beast. It's my first impression of that movie.
All right, Cleo.
First impressions. I love the way that Guillermo del Toro builds kind of this dark fairy tale-esque worlds. I was really excited to see that, and I got exactly that. And let me just say, I've never wanted to fuck a fish more.
There we go.
Fair enough.
Hot diggity.
Right. I love this movie. I actually got to see it. I saw it in theaters twice.
Yeah.
And I got shit for it, but that's another whole
But it was
another whole
worth
story.
it, Andy. It was worth it, wasn't
Well,
Drew's having flashbacks.
Yeah.
the betrayal
Are we gonna get into the
happened
story?
when the next day we found out you had seen it.
Okay.
It wasn't like, hey, I know you're working, but I'm gonna go see it. It was, oh, you weren't supposed to tell Drew. It was bullshit, is what it was.
Hey, the fault wasn't all mine. Someone named Cleo texted me saying she wanted to see it.
Yeah, Drew, I don't see why you're mad at Andy and you're not just seething at me, because I'm the
I didn't say I wasn't. That's all I gotta
So
throw out
that's why you
there.
kept killing me in Injustice.
Well, you know,
That's why I was being poisoned and slowly died, even though you didn't touch me.
actually, I don't know how that happened. You somehow killed yourself in that game, like, which is impressive.
But yeah, it was so good. You could see it twice within a 2-day span, and it was just as good.
Yeah.
And you want to see more.
But there's a lot to get into this, so I don't even know if I want to I think we just want to jump into spoilers because I just want
Oh,
to dig
okay.
it
You don't
up.
have any first impressions?
I loved it. That's my first
Andy
impression.
went in
Ugh.
blank slate.
Yeah.
He came out
Damn.
blank slate.
Yep.
It was the second time that he saw it.
was the second,
impressions
yeah.
were for him.
Yeah. I blacked out the first time.
Yeah, Cleo is so excited she accidentally punched you or
Yeah.
something.
I wasn't gonna mention that.
Look at that ass!
Oh my god! It's so beautiful and tight!
Right. And I passed out.
Toy tiger.
So let's hop in our submarines and dive right into this plot.
Let's go.
Just continue. Don't
You
acknowledge
sure?
it. Don't enable it. Just go. Just
I just
know-
want to make sure you're okay, Jimmy. You give me a look. And
Okay, let's hear the synopsis. Or whatever.
synopsis. Okay. So, this movie is about like an amphibian who is locked up in this laboratory, and this lady who is mute, who helps clean the laboratory, discovers him, and then a relationship between them starts. That's how I would plot out the synopsis.
Yeah, basic.
Yeah, pretty much.
Good, pretty good elevator pitch.
Yeah.
I liked Patrick's synopsis of Creature of the Black Lagoon meets Beauty and the Beast. I mean, it really is. That's the perfect synopsis.
Yeah. Cool.
I'm good.
You're
Yeah.
good?
He's contributed. He's done.
Yeah.
I think that's like the first time I've ever gotten any sort of approval.
Yeah, so-
You look like Dr. Octopus. Hey, thanks.
And look, both from the same person.
yeah. From the start, I fell in love with this movie because Guillermo del Toro just knows how to shoot and knows how to move the camera. And in the opening scene, we have this beautiful entrance to a house just like in water, was floating, like I don't know, like everything's floating and gliding. It's just really well done, and I was just surprised. And I can't say enough how like beautifully shot this movie was.
Yeah, no, definitely a lot of beautiful frames in there. I mean, you could, there were 90% of the movie. You could just pause, print it out, and it would be something to look at.
That's what I've done to my wallpaper.
It's just
There we go.
It's just still shots in the shape of water.
frame by frame.
And-
Frame by
Entire room-
frame.
entire room.
It's beautiful.
If you run real fast, you can actually watch it.
Yeah. The cast was also amazing.
Oh
yeah,
my god.
yeah, really well done on the cast.
Right. Sally Hawkins, who played Eliza,
Yeah, let's just talk about that real
She's
quick.
absolutely breathtaking in
mute-
how
Yeah, mute character, being able to show all that. Oh my
absolutely
god.
amazing.
that took a lot, and I'm really hoping that she gets nominated for something like for the Academy.
I hope so.
I mean,
hope
she
so.
has to. I mean, like, it was amazing. Like that one scene where she was trying to convince no, what's his name?
Giles.
Giles, when she's trying to convince Giles to help her rescue
Yep.
the asset, and just that scene of just how emotional she was and how she was able to convey that with no sound, and just there was sound. There was like her and her body just like
Right.
her doing whatever she could to make a noise to just like make some sort of impact. It was so amazing. And just like the way that using the sign language and just like having literally her words just hanging in the air when she ends at like he's gonna die, and her hands are just in that position of death, and it was
Right.
just like I was so amazing. It was beautiful. Like
It feels like each one of her, like all of her, dialogue, has more impact because of it.
Yeah.
Like it's more tangible. It's more. I mean, it's more desperate for her to tell it.
Right.
As a character, and as an actress, she just did a phenomenal job.
And you have to go full in, like just not only like because when you say something like you can yell or whatever, but like this like full facial, full body, everything just to express exactly what you're feeling, which is amazingly done in this, and I was so surprised. And we'll get more later into like the relationship between the amphibian man and her, because I definitely wanted to get into that.
Can we
But-
talk about that beautiful like shit-eating grin she had when she was talking to Strickland when he was interviewing both her and
Yeah.
Zelda?
In Zelda.
I loved that so much. Her fucking smile just said everything.
Yes, and I just like how like I don't know, Zelda is just an amazing side character as well.
She's a fantastic support
Yeah.
for that character.
Fantastic.
Octavia Spencer, I think she's also been nominated for an Academy Award too.
Oh,
Yes.
perfect.
Yeah.
Probably the
For,
Help,
The Help?
I would assume.
Yeah, The Help or something.
It wasn't it the goddamn.
Oh, is it the rocket ship one where
I think possibly both.
Okay.
Right.
I mean, she's phenomenal in her
Right.
own right.
And I love, and this is like built up again off of the relationship was like, what's her name again?
Eliza?
It was Eliza's, yeah, it was Eliza's character. How she doesn't have to say anything, and like Zelda just does all the talking for her.
It's amazing.
And that relationship was just so cute, and I just adored it because she didn't even do all the talking. Like they had like their own like cute connection,
Mm-hmm.
and it was just done really really well. All the characters, the way it was written, like just amazing.
Yeah.
So that being said, like, I definitely liked a lot of the relationships as well because you have again Eliza with Giles, and that was also an amazing relationship.
That's a beautiful
Yeah.
friendship.
Yeah, and I really felt for him when he like had the crush on the guy, and just it was a sad moment for him because he had a
The
crush
pie
on
guy?
What
The pie guy?
Yeah, the pie
Both
guy.
the pie guy and the man from the advertisement company.
Yeah.
Right.
Like, there's definitely
Yeah,
That was the
wasn't-
subtle hint of why he was fired, or right? Like that's like the.
I mean, it seemed. I mean, I loved how there was a subtlety to like. There's hints to something, but it wasn't ever explained.
Yeah.
Which is my favorite thing in the universe when people do that. Is like, you know, no person's gonna be like, oh, hey, remember that time we did this and then this and then.
I
Like,
totally
you gotta
agree.
you gotta extrapolate from
Yeah, but it was
incomplete
like
data.
you could sort of extrapolate that these two characters, like, they had possibly been in a relationship together, possibly been working at the same advertisement company. Giles had some sort of alcoholism problem, which then led to the breakout of the relationship and the job. You know, and then he's, you know, doing freelance work instead, and it was very heartbreaking.
Yeah, Giles definitely had a rough run of it. In
Yeah.
his cat got eaten.
He
That
took that so gracefully.
Why did he eat the head?
Because it's
Tasty.
was-
I just
You
feel
never
like that's
had
a
Because
really
it's egg shaped.
hard thing to eat, and its
Go-
mouth is like the same size as our mouth. Like I don't understand how it.
You
ate
see
that.
those teeth though? Those are crushing teeth.
Sure, but
Yeah,
like.
they were-
I think Guillermo del Toro did that just kind of in more of like a
Just stylist.
Yeah.
a stylist. It was more of a stylistic
Sure.
choice. It wasn't like a realistic choice. I mean, neither is a giant fish man who's very handsome.
Well,
No, but
yeah,
that's realistic for the world that he's created.
world, yeah.
Just
Right.
not physics wise with the cat head, I would argue.
Well, I mean, he easily bit off that other dude's fingers, and that's like not
Yeah.
an easy
Yeah.
thing to do.
I could
You could.
more feasibly bite off my own fingers
More feasibly,
than biting off a cat's head.
Uh,
Okay,
the
okay.
Can
things
we
about-
not? I don't
the
think
things-
I want to see this happen.
I think
right
we're
now.
gonna put this to
Yeah.
stylistic choice, Patrick.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay,
cat doesn't matter.
Yeah,
At the
cat
end of
doesn't
the
matter.
end of the day.
I just don't want Patrick to bite off his fingers because I feel like he would.
Can I also just name one other thing that I'm a little upset with?
I'm
the
going to
movie?
murder you.
Okay,
They
go-
say he's from the Amazon
Correct.
and he needs salt, but the Amazon doesn't have salt in it. The
That's
estuary.
That's a lie.
Always true.
That's not always true.
There's actually quite a bit of it that's marshy and has some salinity content.
But that's only the base of it, though, right?
No.
It extends quite a bit up the Amazon.
Okay.
Yeah, so depending on where they found them, it could be kind of a brackish situation.
Okay.
There you go. But let's get into the amphibian man. What do you guys think? Like just in general, how he looked and just his character.
I thought before I know what you guys are all gonna say, but before we all dive into that, I just want to say that they did a fantastic job of making it look truly inhuman.
Right.
There is like proportions in the face and the limbs that were just kind of a little off that you really wouldn't associate with people. When you look at it, it makes you almost uncomfortable, but they also did a great job of keeping it like grounded enough to be relatable and like have a believable relationship with Eliza.
Yeah, it's both foreign and familiar.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it was. It's amazing how Guillermo del Toro and the other folks in like the special effects or whoever made the costume were able to create this creature. And like the article I mentioned before, it was just they talked a lot about how they specifically wanted to make this creature look haunting and scary, but also at the same time strong and familiar and handsome even
And sexy.
and sexy as fuck.
And it's
They wanted to make sure he
narrow
looked
line
like
to
had like a swimmer's body.
Oh, he's got a swimmer body. You see those skills? Am I right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
She would not stop talking about his butt. But
Hey,
It's the name of the article.
have you seen that movie?
I have, and
Yeah.
I'm not gonna disagree. So
Yeah.
there you
And then also, like, on top of the costume, which is amazing, let's talk about the man underneath it,
Yeah.
Doug Jones. Like,
Doug Jones is sick.
he's absolutely amazing, and his ability ability to, I mean, first of all, just be this super tall, gangly human, but then to like make something which would be so awkward to be in and so uncomfortable to be in. Like, I can't imagine being in, you know, on the set when it's rainy, it's probably freezing out because they shot it in Toronto, and he's having to be the main character in a rubber suit and be able to make people want to, like, cry their eyeballs out.
And it did such a good job, too, of, you know, making a creature that really it felt like it had minimal contact with like humanity. You know, it was intelligent and it, you know, learned like the basic sign language stuff like egg and you know, weird together and stuff like that. But I'm comparing this because he also played Abe in Hellboy, correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that was a much more human character,
Very
even though it was
cultured,
it was a fish man. You know, a lot of like visually like similar things, but just such wildly different approaches to acting. I mean, he really felt almost like a kind of a wild animal at parts in
Like
The
when
Shape
he
of
ate the
Water.
cat's head.
Like when he eats the
Yeah,
They
well, not just
expressed
that,
it
but like
well.
when he's looking up out of the water and just like the jittery head movements and like he takes the egg and begins to eat it and then kind of slowly trusts like you know like I don't like a dog, you know. It was really well done.
Yeah, I thought it was. He did such an amazing job doing that balancing act again.
Yeah.
You know, which is kind of the whole. I guess the whole shebang about the asset is the balance between, you know, animal and the scary and the monster and the humanistic side, the romantic side, the side you want to fall in love with.
Well, let's get into that because that was probably one of my favorite things that was about this movie is how you felt like the connection between Eliza and the asset. It was just incredibly done. Like I felt how real, you know, because Eliza's a mute, right? And when again we go back to that scene where she's expressing to Giles that she wants to save this guy, right? And that like she's like, you gotta understand, like this person doesn't see me as a mute. This person doesn't see me as something that's flawed. It sees me for me, you know. And so that just meant to me something greater, you know. Like it's just kind of me having like a disability, right? But regardless of that, like I really connected with that very moment because I knew exactly how that felt, and it felt so real, and it was really incredible. So it kind of just was really meaningful to me to see that and the way that it was like portrayed. Because like sometimes that's one of the things that means so much to you is you want to connect with something like that, and the way that they like portrayed it, like the music, the food. And by the way, like I loved how like they referenced like the 1950s music and like the tap dancing. Like I'm a sucker for that. So I just thought like it was just beautifully done. I don't know.
Yeah, well, I mean, just to add on to that, the feeling of, you know, seeing them for who they really are is a mutual thing between them. She, you know, saw the
human,
asset,
right.
as, you know, as what, you know, as past the fish man, past the, you know, experiment in the, you know, aerospace laboratory, and as a living, breathing,
Human
relatable being. Yeah.
Maybe not human, but
Human
definitely
being.
a being.
Well, there's I think it's.
There's human elements.
I
to
think
him.
it's. I wouldn't say as a human being because I think it's accepting the asset
the
creature
non-humanness.
as it is, as the creature accepts, you know, that she's mute and that's not. It's there, but it's not something that determines their relationship.
Right.
So
Yeah.
just great.
Oh my god, can we talk about that music? Just the use of music and the use of sound in this movie. I just like I don't. There's just like I can just hear just like these echoes of these sounds in my head from the movie and just how meaningful every single sound was and how much that spoke to the character of Eliza and just like, you know, the music was this beautiful music and then like if there was a sound it was just like, I don't know, like the chains that would rattle when he would move and that would, you know, present his like the asset coming or I don't know what else. Or the tap dancing. I love the tap dancing and the use of like just like this whimsical, musically like out of nowhere, just to make it. I don't know.
I mean, sound, non-verbal sound is such a significant part of that movie, and I mean, even as a communication tool, as like an expressive tool. It's
Yeah.
just
'Cause even when she wanted to talk, that scene where like she wants to tell him tell him how much she loves him, and it was just kind of I don't want to say it's corny, but it was like I still really enjoyed it. Just her getting into that fantasy of singing and wanting to be with him. Like I just thought that was kind of again added
Yeah.
to it.
I mean, it just shows how deep and how like truly she felt that as she needed to sing it from the rooftops.
Yeah.
And they gave her that scene, and I thought that was it was definitely whoa, where did that come from?
where are we?
But it was I thought it was great. I thought it was like a wonderful addition to the whole her character. That
It's just it's just funny how it felt out of place, right? Because like it's a
Like,
lady
she's
dancing, singing right, and then dancing was this creature that like you're not used to it, and so you're like, wait, like a creature and a human, like,
I loved
but it's
when
just,
Doug Jones was dancing, or when the asset was dancing.
Yeah.
I just that was so
That was
silly.
really
I
good.
love that so much.
ugh.
but and then again like. It's just I thought it was just funny. Again, what's the relationship between Eliza and Zelda? Like Zelda starts to see how like happy Eliza's getting, and like they even went as far to describe how they can make love in this movie, and I thought it was hilarious.
Yep.
Which
yep.
is now our new friendship handshake.
Apparently so.
It seems like one of you guys is way more stoked about this than the other. I gotta say.
That's how
but,
it usually is.
Yeah.
though.
Yeah.
Andy loves those handshakes.
Yeah.
Loves them. But I think there's two other kind of big characters in this that we should mention, which are Strickland, the
Yep.
the antagonist of the film, and Bob, the Bob. I used to use
Bob.
air quotes.
Yep.
The
Or say it in Russian.
Yeah, Bob.
Bob.
The Russian spy. Well, I guess his name was Dmitri.
Yeah.
Dimitri. Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't know about you guys, but I thought Strickland, the actor who plays Strickland,
He
help me out?
delivered.
Michael Shannon.
Fantastic.
Michael Shannon, yeah.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
I think he was my favorite part of the
Yeah.
movie.
He was a truly flawed man in like
Yes.
a really great way
a
as a character.
fantastically flawed
I love how
man.
he's just literally living an illusion or like the quote unquote American dream,
Oh,
you know? But
That was
Oh,
so
it's
funny.
so-
yeah,
yeah.
he gets there and all of a sudden, like, boom, you're in this like totally stereotypical.
like Dollhouse.
Yeah, it
It's
was
just-
so bizarre.
He has two children, a boy and a girl. They're both, cute. Whatever. They greet him at the door. They give him his fucking paper and food, and the wife is all dolled up all the time, just like, hey, you want to fuck when the children are gone, And
And just the best part is that none of that means shit to him. He's
No,
just like,
but
he
that's
just walks
what-
in, he's like, it was just about getting it. It's not about like
yeah,
its worth.
But
It's
that's
just
the
the
whole,
goal, right?
That's
Yeah,
the
no,
whole
oh, I
character.
know,
It's
it's
just
great.
about he doesn't give a shit about what it means or why he's
Mm-hmm.
doing it. It's just as long as he does it.
like he doesn't know
delivers.
what happiness is, and he thinks happiness is just achieving these, stereotypical
Like his Cadillac,
American
baby.
goals.
Oh yeah, the
How
Cadillac.
can you not be happy with a Cadillac? I mean,
he like really like he got sold it hard, but like he wasn't stoked on the color. He just kind of like meh. But then
As-
he sold it on them, and like the kids were like, "Oh, great car!" And he
But
was like,
but the wording in that scene,
Yeah,
though,
and it
this
was-
car salesman was like, "This is what most
Yeah.
successful people in America are driving this right now."
you're a man
Yep.
of the future.
And so he's like,
Yeah.
"Oh, if it's the American way, then I'm all for it."
it was just interesting that as he's driving, he's not stoked about driving. It's only when he receives the approval of other people for like having the car and the whole like, "Oh yeah, you have it, like you're the man." That's what made him smile in that scene, and that I just good shit.
Yeah, what a crazy character. What an absolutely just vile human being. And how
He
like
ripped off his own fucking fingers.
Oh god,
Yeah,
it was so
the-
okay. Can we talk
When
about
he
the character plot of his fingers as a foil
Yep.
to his personality?
Oh yeah.
Right? Go for it.
Like,
Oh.
I mean, it's just I don't know. I think it was just like those fingers, like they had their own character plot. Just with Strickland and him just like descending from like top shit, like awful human being to like bottom shit evil awful human being. You know, and just,
What? That's quite the ladder to climb up
he's
and
an
down.
awful human being all the way through.
Yeah.
He doesn't really grow as a character, which I think was kind of the point,
Yeah, I think
was to have him as this antagonistic foil to that asset who's slowly, you know, gaining kind of in our minds and our hearts this humanity, while Strickland is just like immediately losing it.
he's just a robot.
Yeah.
I mean,
But I just thought that
like,
was so beautiful. It was like usually there's like the monster and the hero, but then it's a total spin, and the
But don't
monster
you-
is kind of the hero, and Strickland is the monster.
Yeah, but don't you think when he rips off his own fingers, like that's him kind of like, you know, somewhat throwing away like the, you know, the norms that he's kind of trying to adjust to? Like that's him growing in a sense.
I
It's
guess
like,
so, in a
I'm
sense.
just-
well, I agree with half of that. I
Okay.
agree that it's him throwing away, you know, the norms or whatever. But I don't think it's him growing. I think it's him just fucking hitting rock bottom.
Yeah.
And being like,
degrading.
I've
Yeah.
been taken advantage of too many times with this goddamn thing. This is the one thing. This is like the first time in the movie I really feel like he wants something for himself.
But he's also scared for his life.
Like, yeah.
Remember, the general threatened to kill him.
No, I don't think it was a literal death threat. I think it was like your career
Fired.
is
Like
over.
yeah, you're gonna get
Yeah.
fired.
Like you're, yeah, like you
But
won't,
just
you
his
won't
whole
work in this town.
existence
Yeah.
was threatened.
That's exactly
Yeah.
it. That's what he worked for. That's his existence. Like that's, you know, the car, the money, the family. That's all gone if he loses his job. And when he rips his fingers off, making that fucking biblical speech about Samson. Yeah.
Oh god, that was such a horrifying speech.
And
Yeah.
again, the sounds on point.
Everything. Crunchy.
Horrible.
Oh.
Crunchy,
Yeah.
squelchy is how I would
Yeah.
describe that.
I
Yeah.
still think I cringed at like the scene of the pus coming out when he like
Oh, yeah, when
first
he's-
when he's,
tested, when he's first like smelling it and like looking at it, and then the pus like green stuff just like squirts out. You're like,
Oh yeah.
what
Yeah.
the fuck?
It's just like, ooh, that's. Or the scene where he's like fucking not making love to fucking his wife.
Oh, and she's
Oh,
like,
man.
And she's
you're,
like,
you're bleeding.
honey, you're bleeding on my face. And he's just like, shut the fuck up, woman.
Oh, man.
Silence, silence. That was
Yeah.
also very creepy. His.
Oh yeah.
Oh
yeah.
Just that need.
I thought it was great.
That need for.
Thanks, Patrick.
Well, you know what, Patrick? We all have our kinks. This is a kink safe zone.
Yeah.
Or free. No. Whatever. This is a kink safe zone.
This isn't your house.
Yeah.
It's up to them.
Let's go to the next thing.
But yeah, that was just so creepy, and like his obsession with Eliza, and like, which was also a very good foil between, you know, what's something that's a real love and what's just like this lust obsession.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
it's just like, oh god, he was so creepy in the scene. He's like, oh, when I bet I can make you squeak. And
Right.
Like, oh god,
And a well done character again.
absolutely well done. Makes you cringe. Makes you don't like him and you want him to die.
Uh-huh.
Very good.
Yeah. Again, there's just so much. Like I still think about like the settings, and like I would love to live on top of a movie theater myself, and
Oh, that'd be
Yeah.
dream come true for you. Yeah.
yeah, like, and I think it was still like the way the style of it was. It just I don't know. I would live in those
Well,
kind of
just
apartments.
just like the color palettes,
Oh god, that
Yeah.
You know?
palette.
the browns and the neon lights outside, and the red movie theaters. You're walking in, and then when it's all filled up with water, and like in the initial scene, and
Right.
when he floods the bathroom to like make a better environment for the creature.
Love boat.
Yeah, that,
Yeah.
I mean, that was a beautiful scene.
Oh god, that was such
The
a
camera,
cute
like you see the
scene,
door
yeah.
like spurting out water, and then it just goes in on them, and it's like
They're just in
that's
this
just-
beautiful embrace.
that's
yeah.
just great. They're in their own little
World.
bubble.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
So good. And I love the use of clothing and costume too. Because for Eliza, you know, she has kind of more of like a neutral palette through most of the movie,
Mhm.
and then when she finally, frees the asset and he's hanging out with her at her place, she starts wearing like reds and like much
Yeah,
more
yeah.
colorful,
And that's what I love.
bold colors.
I
I
actually-
love that so much.
I just hadn't really noticed that in the
Right.
initial watching until you just pointed it out.
Yeah, going
That's-
on that, like, yeah, you could just see, like, again, what's just like her expression. Like, when you see her daily routine, it's dry, right? But as she's starting to get to know the asset, you see her glowing.
She gets wet.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
But yeah, you see her glowing, and it just you just see like the actual happiness and like the color in her start to grow. So again,
Yeah.
just like those small things, and then you guys noticed that she was able to like move. Was that just like the rain hitting the car, the
No,
window
I
hard?
think-
Was she like able
She's
to
a
like,
mer person.
she's a mer person trying to move the
Totally.
water?
Yeah, I think like
She has gills. She's always had them her entire life. She was found in a river as an orphan. Like it was totally leading up to. She's the princess. Like they were destined to be
They were
together.
yeah. Well, I mean,
Do you think that's what it is? That
Yes.
it was that she was always a mer person. And
Yes.
It wasn't like
I'm
it wasn't
totally.
Like,
That's the fairy tale part.
Yeah, that's
well,
the fairy
here-
tale bit.
what I'm
yeah.
thinking is the whole. The creature touched Giles, and his hair grew back and his arm healed.
Mhm.
They fucked. She may have like mer powers after
That's what
that.
okay. I'm thinking it's a
So
little
kind
bit
of like
half and
exposure
half.
to the river god, destined. She was mute. Found on a river. Those kind of parallels. But I think the whole like literally growing gills and the trailing of the water with the finger were a byproduct of, like how they say like you're your best self when you find the person that you're meant to be with. Like I think that's what that was, as opposed to like a pre.
Or maybe that's up to debate. Maybe Guillermo
Well,
del
yeah.
Toro wanted it to
Like
be
we said,
kind
the-
of this very fairy tale, but also not completely, out in the open of, well, she was found by a river, she's mute, she's got these, like, slashes on her neck, she loves fucking in water.
Yeah.
They definitely hint at that for sure.
Oh, they hinted that,
They didn't hint that. They showed it.
She loves water just
She's
in
playing some,
general.
some
Yeah.
The first scene
DJ
is literally
Diddles.
she's dreaming about being submerged in water.
You're right.
Yeah. So
Right.
they make some hard hints that maybe
Yeah.
she is some sort of
Like,
mer person.
Water is a very
Her-
huge motif
no,
in
her-
this
her-
movie.
Well, I
Obsession
mean,
with
In the
water.
shape
That's
of
the
water.
title
Yeah.
of the shape of water.
Her like connection with water is very big in this movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Which is probably why she's just immediately drawn to the acid, just because, she's probably a mer person, or, she has some really deep-seated connection to the water, and then she sees him, and it's just like, immediate, just like, oh,
Here we go.
there go my pants,
Right.
and my heart.
Thanks for following up with that.
You're
Not like
welcome.
the Strickland.
Yeah.
But I gotta say, one of my favorite characters the whole movie was Bob. Bob Dimitri,
Bob.
the double agent from Russia.
Yep.
I loved the two Russian characters.
The like mob boss.
The
and
mob boss, but the Russian spy.
Would you like cake? Oh yeah.
Butter cake.
Yeah. He's like questioning me. He's like, "Hey, do you have any milk?"
So, and like the fucking like when the sparrow sits on the mist.
The
And he's just like saying
word
it, getting
password.
in the car already.
He's like, I fucking know this. Whatever. Let's just go.
So good. It
Yeah.
was such a good kind of throwback to like spy movies and like the Cold War. So good.
Well, and just like a appropriate amount of humor
yeah,
for the scene.
the humor
or
in
for
the
for
movie was
yeah.
perfect. Yeah.
It's all a lot more,
Is-
not so much subtle, but like muted. I would say. I don't know. Well, yeah, that was not a.
Luke is
Not-
getting mad at your own pun.
Yeah. Whatever.
I wanted to bring this up now that we're talking about Bob.
Sorry.
Yeah. Don't get sidetracked. Just go.
Right. Thanks. Patrick just completely distracted me. I think he just got it.
Well, you just got the muted joke.
No.
No, I was laughing at Drew getting mad at just the situation.
My own dumb pun.
There you go.
There you go.
I'm not sure what it is about. So from the two movies that I've seen so far, like Pan's Labyrinth and this movie, I don't know. Guillermo del Toro just likes having people shot in the face, because in the end of Pan's Labyrinth, we see like the main villain get shot in the face just clearly, and then in this one, like unfortunately Bob gets shot down and gets shot in the face, and they were really brutal to him in this movie. But I just thought that was kind of funny.
I mean, you could think of it as being a little symbolic. It's kind of like erasing them or defacing them.
Yeah.
You know, it's like kind of being pissed on or shat on. You know, it's like
Right.
it's kind of like a fuck you in a sense.
It's just
It
fine.
can be seen it that way, but it doesn't have to be.
I just found it interesting.
It's also a kill shot.
Right.
Yeah, it's just
Right.
or it's
Yeah,
just
except that it went through his cheeks and teeth. It just went in one
Yeah,
side and
that's
out the
pretty
other.
awful.
All I can think about is all his teeth are gone.
Yeah.
He just he
he
just
has no teeth.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's
It is
all I could think
amazing
about.
how I don't know if you guys have like I don't know if you guys grapple with this or like are in love with this, but just the Guillermo's use of just like these fairy tale like aspects of the movie. It's very whimsical and silly and lighthearted, and then other times it's just fucking violent and horrifying and scary. And like people are fucking and like masturbating, and it's just like these two juxtapositions between these two things, and I just like I love it so much.
No, I completely agree.
Yeah.
It's where like realism meets. They're both heightened. You
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
It's the fairy tale aspect and the real world shit that goes on in the same place. All of it heightened together, and it's kind of his style.
It's bread and butter.
Yeah.
That's why I love him so
Yeah.
much.
Yeah, I
love
mean,
it.
it's like most of his movies go over, the subject of humanity, right? Like, there's always, like, these glorified characters who are, upstanding citizens, who care for, like, everyone. And then there's people like Strickland that are just, the bottom of the shithole. Like, humanity means nothing to them, in a sense.
Yeah.
It's very big.
But they're all very real at the same time.
Yes.
It's so amazing.
But within these, like, yeah.
Like, opposite ends of the spectrum,
Yeah.
though.
But interesting thing about Bob is like you think that he is in the same kind of boat as Strickland. He's there to learn and steal knowledge and all that kind of stuff. But he I don't know if he grows a conscience or he always had it and was just kind of acting in opposite to it throughout the movie. But he really became kind of a hero
Yeah,
Mhm.
in
I'd say
the
so.
movie.
Definitely.
Like it was
Kind of a dark
his
hero.
efforts, a tragic hero. Like he died for his efforts, and he realized it was less about the knowledge. I mean, they told him to destroy the asset just so the Americans couldn't learn something, and I think they wanted you to believe at first that he just wanted to learn from it as well, but then he pleased with them. That's a beautiful living creature. And that it's intelligent and understands, and they can't. And I really liked his character arc throughout the movie.
Definitely.
And I love the play on the kind of the old trope of like the cold scientist, and he's actually a very empathetic scientist.
Yeah,
and
yeah,
a Russian
actually.
spy.
Yeah.
And I absolutely love that he kind of he kind of starts off as he's never evil throughout any of it, or like
No.
he's never really bad. He's just like he says, he's a patriot for Mother Russia, and he wants to do good for his mother country. But then he's also a scientist, and he's someone who's in the pursuit of learning and knowing more, and he's a smart human being.
I think his values just got, like, you saw his values get set, like he wanted to he was patriot for Russia, but he like set his values like, no, I believe like in science, and this is not, like we shouldn't destroy this. So he stuck with that, and it was like maybe the necessary sacrifice, to keep this thing going.
But he'll also kill a man.
Who would also great.
So
yeah, he
he
did. I forgot about that.
He killed the man. He killed the
He
guard.
did. Yeah, he did kill the guard.
Yeah, for doing his
I mean,
job.
he's by no means a good person, but he's by no means a bad person.
Yeah, he's a gray.
He's a gray
Line.
on the side of
I
good.
totally forgot he killed somebody.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he
he did. He
Straight up was an
straight up did.
injection.
Well, it was
Just-
an American, so.
But
he's
also,
fine.
I love that do you guys remember when, like, pretty much, like, really closely right after they have the Strickland interviews Eliza and Zelda, they also have the encounter with Bob, where he, confronts them and, gives them the weird protein slurry that the asset needs.
confronts them in the women's bathroom.
Yeah, confronts him in the bath. But then there's this scene where, Eliza's like, fuck you, Strickland, and he's just like, what the fuck did she say? And they have that whole scene of
Yeah.
just like, fuck you, bitch. And then there's, like, right after that, there's this scene with Bob and Eliza and Zelda, and she says, you're a good person. Then he says the same exact line of, what did she say? And then Zelda honestly she says, you're a good man.
Yeah.
I thought that was a really beautiful foil to Strickland's character as well.
Right.
Yeah, I really liked that.
Definitely. Man. Yeah. Anything else you guys want to add on? Or
Yeah,
think
what
of?
do you guys think about the ending? Like how everything left off?
for what it was, like the fairy tale being added, I just took it for what it was because I loved
Yeah.
it. You know, like I wanted to believe in the romance because I think I'm a romantic myself. So it's like I want to, you know, I want that to happen, the happy ending, and like what perfect way for Eliza to end up where she always wanted to be was you know, in water.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I would agree. I think I just think it was a pretty kind of closed up all loose ends, and
right.
Yeah.
everyone got what they wanted.
Except for Zelda.
I wouldn't say everyone got what they wanted.
No, not
Well, Strickland's
everyone.
dead. Yes.
Yeah.
Strickland's
The gay
dead.
guy didn't get Pie Guy.
You're right. Zelda.
Zelda is still
True.
with the shitty husband.
That
as
she's
far as we
not
know.
probably gonna leave.
We
Zelda-
think.
Zelda
we don't
stood-
know.
We don't
actually.
know.
Zelda finally stood up to him.
That's true because she
Yeah.
complains about just
She
him not.
complains about him,
yeah.
but it
Yeah.
doesn't seem like she ever really did anything. It's
Yeah,
a lot
kind
of
of.
lies to keep a marriage together.
Yeah.
And then Bob unfortunately died.
Yeah.
So it's true.
Yeah.
I would say only Eliza and quote unquote the creature really.
I
got
would
what
say
they wanted.
Giles. I would say Giles
Yeah. John.
came out better than he started.
He
at the
came
end.
out better than what he started, but he
Yeah.
didn't get what he wanted in the whole movie.
No,
Well,
but
I think
he
what he
grew
wanted
as a
changed.
person. Yeah, what
Yeah.
he wanted is.
Like he got shut down multiple times throughout the movie. Like there's no doubt about that. But I think towards the end of it, when Eliza gave the speech about, you know, that's what makes us human, saving the monster, and he got hair, and just, you know, I think as an experience for his character, this was maybe not what he wanted. You're probably right.
Because
on
I mean,
that,
he only
but-
did the whole heist, right? Because he got shot down. Like, he pretty much told her, like, "I'm sorry, I'm not gonna help you," and then he went off
Yeah.
to go
Well,
do the.
Because the whole point of that kind of scene was that, you know, he has these things that he wants. He has things that, you know, he's been shot down before and he's trying to get back up. And he, you know, gets shot down again for these people that don't really care for him, that he wants them, but they don't care for him. And he realizes that Eliza is, you know, they have that scene of what are we? We're nothing. And he totally, like, shoots down their friendship in this, like, how long they've been together. And he realizes that, you know, Eliza is a true friend and someone who truly cares for him. And, you know, maybe that's not what he, you know, wants, but, you know, that's something that he has and something that I don't know.
I kind of agree with you, but I honestly still think it was kind of like he had no other option in a sense. Like there's
but
no
that's
other.
also what friends do. Like I
mean, he could have done nothing.
he could have done nothing.
Sure.
He could have gotten depressed, and you know, like anybody else, after a lot of rejection like that. But you know, he didn't.
I don't know, I thought it was a total friend move of just like, no, I'm not gonna help you with your thing. Like, I love you, and like you're kind of going crazy. I'm gonna go do my thing, and then you're like, fuck, my thing didn't work out, and then you're like, okay, I'll help you out, friend. It's like a total friend move. I thought it was very.
My friends are all like that too.
Yeah, exactly. It's a friend move. Oh, don't shake your head. Don't shake your head like that. How dare you? My friends love me, I promise. Andy.
Well, moving on. But going off of that topic, I feel like Giles needed that rejection for like a wake up call,
Yeah.
and I feel like that was just a
That's
catalyst.
interesting.
I feel like you're right because like
Yeah.
in a sense he lost everything he like kind of fantasized about, right? And then
Well, he was kind of stuck in that. You know,
Right.
He's definitely stuck.
he had the toupee.
all
he was
those
kind of
fucking
clinging.
pies.
Yeah, all
Right.
the pies. He was
could-
like still in kind of like the medium that wasn't really working out.
You make
for
a
him.
good point because that kind of makes it like he's kind of like Strickland in a sense, right? Where
Right.
he's trying to
Yeah.
achieve this like quote unquote, you know, illusion in a sense, and it's
That's
you
an
know,
interesting parallel.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is.
and the thing
That's
is
what
like
we can draw.
again it goes back to like the creature. Like no one sees this creature as human or for what it is, like a living being, and except for Eliza. And so like no one, you know, like everyone again towards her, like why are you gonna save this creature? Even Zelda, like that had that moment where they're pushing the cart against each other, and they're like, she's like, no, don't. Zelda's like, no, we're not gonna go to the dock, right? But then, right when she knew that they were in real danger, and like when it was time to like live or die moment, she's like, all right, let's just go for it. And then after that, she kind of started understanding why this creature needed to be saved.
Yeah.
But
So-
Zelda did this mostly just for Eliza.
That is
I still don't think she quite got the entire humanity of the asset, and I don't think anyone.
I think until the very end, not until like she called the cops and showed up at the very end that she like
Maybe,
understood.
yeah.
But for sure, she still kind of did it for like believing in her friend and what like. I don't want to say it was her fantasy. What was real for her?
I mean, Zelda was in a marriage that wasn't working, and a marriage is supposed to be the quintessential, sentence of love of you
Right.
get married, and so I think for her in a marriage she's supposed to be in love, but she's not anymore, and she's in a broken marriage, and she sees Eliza and she sees that she's in love, and this is true love, and she's just like, I'm gonna do everything I can in my power to see somebody happy, no matter how weird it is or like
Yeah.
that fucking scene where
That's
she's
about as
just like,
weird as it gets.
what? She's like, how did you what? Does he even got a thing down there?
Yeah.
That was one of my favorite scenes.
Again, it's great, but yeah, I feel like that has a lot to do with like, just finding what is real for you and like being believed in. I think I don't know.
Being believed in?
Yeah, in a sense. But yeah, let's go. Any final thoughts before we wrap it up? Anything we can get into?
I think I laid it on the floor there. I love the movie. Thought all the characters and actors and actresses were great, and I'd watch it again. Actually, I want to watch it again just to try and
Yeah, we
soak it
actually
in a little more.
we actually went to so we're located in like the Santa Cruz area, and we actually went all the way to Palo Alto, which is like an hour drive just to see this movie.
Yep.
Twice.
Yeah, and then Cleo and I went twice.
Limited showings.
Limited showings.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's going to be in more wide release later on. But if it's in your selected area, I would definitely recommend going to see this.
Or even an hour outside of your area.
Or even an hour outside.
Worth
Twice.
Worth it.
Yeah.
Definitely worth it. But yeah, Cleo, final thoughts?
I loved the final scene in that poem that Giles was narrating about, and just how that just completely sums up the movie, and just like how falling in love is being like surrounded by water, and just how that all just meshes into itself as a like a plot and a theme and motif. It's so beautifully succinct. I just absolutely loved that.
What about you, Patrick?
This movie was good, but it's kind of boring. So
Patrick, I'm going to
I've been afraid to say
Yeah.
this whole time.
You then why did you
You
say
waited until the
anything?
end
You
to
waited
bring
until
this
the
part
very
up.
end to bring this up. How could you?
It's a
We kinda
romance.
knew. We heard this
Yeah,
in the car.
we-
I'm not really that into it. It wasn't that exciting of a movie.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So you just
mean-
don't like you just don't like romance, or
I guess.
I mean neither usually do I, but
Yeah, I mean, just the story. It's just so it's like the reverse of the Creature of the Black Lagoon, right? Like it's all about the perspective of what if the woman actually fell in love with the creature rather than the woman be scared of the creature, right? And it's Beauty and the Beast. It's woman falls in love with beast or creature. You know, it's kind of like I've seen that story a lot with as much of like movies, the kind of movies I watch, anyways. You know,
Yeah.
right? Just like.
Yeah.
And it's like this, don't get me wrong, everything that's been said tonight has been like true. Like there's nothing that I can fight with like sound or but it's
Right.
just it's not the kind of movie.
Oh, you don't have to like it.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, you don't have
it's-
to like it.
yeah,
We'll
yeah.
accept you.
Yeah, it's all personal preference. It's-
So yeah, I'm a little upset with myself. I even tried to like do
you
research.
were
Like
trying
I was
hard
like
after
reading
the movie.
articles.
You were
I
like-
listened to like
Yeah. You were,
Guillermo del Toro and the actors talk. I'm like.
What?
Dang, it's like I still. I
Way
guess
more
this movie
research.
is not for me. I just don't think I'm the target audience.
And that's
and I think
okay.
it's partly because this is, I think, one of his smaller budget films.
I thought this was like a $20 million film.
Was it?
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure it's one of his smaller ones.
I mean, I'm sure Hellboy and Pacific Rim were really expensive.
Yeah, but isn't Pan's Labyrinth pretty crazy too? Like Pan's
Wow.
Labyrinth.
Oh yeah, I
Awesome.
bet that. Shit ton of costs.
Yeah,
Right.
so I'm just I don't know.
I don't know if
I
that's
feel
actually
like
that expensive, but
I really love Strickland though. Like I always love seeing him on screen, and you know the gal, I'm blanking on her name. Like she did a great job too. Just like you can tell what was happening just by her body expressions and stuff. But it's not like my kind of movie. Like and like how Andy like loves the movie for that connectiveness. That's like not a theme that I tend to like grab onto. And we're different in that sense, which is fine.
So if the acid just started eating everybody, that would be your kind of movie.
I guess it would depend on how like cool it was. If it made like a giant predator mouth and just like started engulfing everyone's heads, then I'd be like, okay, that's how he ate the cat's head. Like,
Oh my god, he has.
It's all
He has.
man.
All right, I'm getting into this because he has crushing mandibles. He did not have individual teeth. He had 2 large bone plates. That's how he ate through the cat's head.
Did he have
That's what they do.
He's like
I thought he had
fucking
little
coelacanth?
tiny sharp needle teeth.
On the bottom, on the top, he had little big 2 big
Pick up a
teeth.
picture.
Let's
On the
get,
top.
Well, I guess like my whole deal about the cat head is I don't think you could stick a whole cat's head in your mouth.
Well, we don't.
I could put a cat's head in
Well,
my
the thing
mouth.
is, we don't even know.
Yeah.
Okay.
If it was like unconscious, I could totally do that.
Here's another argument. wait. Here's
If it's
another.
like clawing at me, I'm not gonna.
Well, here's another argument. Cat got caught and the acid took.
I'm
what if
okay.
he pulled his
I'm
head
okay
off?
with it eating a dead cat's head.
Okay,
I
I'm just
like to
saying,
bring
like,
it up.
he didn't have to put
Yeah,
it all
check out
in
his
one
teeth.
mouth,
Check out
like
his
one bite. It might not have been one bite, it might have been a few bites, and then.
Dang.
Yeah.
But yeah,
There you go.
yeah. I'm sorry to say, like I found this movie kind of boring.
Yeah. That's okay.
See that?
Again, there was a lot of different reasons why I really love this movie. It was beautifully shot. I love this director. And again, I kind of just saw it as a very, like, deep movie and, like, just
Deep
to
in the
connect,
water.
Just deep, yep. No, no, Drew, no.
Just go.
Just kidding. But yeah, I highly recommend this film. I really adored it, and I'd watch it again, which I probably will. Yeah, so those are my final thoughts, and that is our review for The Shape of Water. Cool. So this is I Want to Talk Movies, and you can always reach us at iwanttotalkmovies@gmail.com or subscribe on YouTube and like us if you like us.
Just like us.
Yeah.
Please.
Anything.
We beg of you.
Yeah. And Cleo has something to plug. She's on Instagram. Do you have your...
What? Oh, hell no,
No?
man. That
No.
shit's secret.
It's Cleo at
Secret at
Instagram.com.
secret.instagram.com.
We'll put her information of everything, too.
/ /
My LinkedIn,
HTML.
my Facebook,
Everything.
My,
LinkedIn. Hey, hit me up.
Anyways. But yeah, reach out to us. And we'll be back soon again. I think we're going to have an exciting Star Wars review before the end of the year. Yeah. Yay. Patrick sounds so excited again for this.
I'm just not
Yeah.
into
Sure word.
the romance. How did he eat the cat's head?
Again, what's the cat's head?
How did Rey
We're moving
eat the
past this.
cat's head?
Well, she used the Force.
Yeah.
She just like squishes it.
That'd
I
be
just don't
fucking
understand how the
hardcore.
Ewoks.
That's like the opening scene. Rey's just eating a raw cat's head.
Luke's just staring at it.
Apparently, people are saying this is the best Star Wars yet.
All right, well,
Huh.
we'll review it.
But
Yeah.
I mean, that's people.
We'll find out.
There's a lot more people
And
today.
who can trust people? Am I right?
All right. All right.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Oh, we're saying bye. Bye. I didn't know we were still filming or recording.
Yeah, it's still on.
Oh.
Thanks for listening.
Oh, wait.
What?
Ooh.
I had nothing to add.
Hey,
I
yeah.
just wanted you to wait.
I have my finger on there. Okay. Bye.
I'm also wet.
Wait.